Hello everybody, can you hear me? Fantastic, brilliant. It's very strange being on the silent stage. First of all, it's just absolutely brilliant to be here in Graz. I'm blown away by the festival. It's so amazing, isn't it? I'm going to be talking about my absolute favourite subject, which is how to create a fantastic place to work. Now, the reason why I'm on this stage is because I'm delighted to say I've had some real success in this area, because last year my organisation, which is called RHP, was ranked as the very best place to work in the whole of the UK for a medium-sized business. You can tell me I'm pretty happy about that. So I want to tell you my story and the story of RHP, and also to share with you some very personal thoughts about leadership and about learning to be a CEO along the way. First things first, I'm David Doan, and I've got the very best job in the world because I have the privilege and absolute joy to lead this most extraordinary organisation called RHP. Now, RHP is a not-for-profit social enterprise based in a place called Teddington, which is in West London in the UK. We're a medium-sized business. We've got 215 extraordinary people working for us, and we have a turnover of about £53 million. Now, in the UK, we're known as a housing association. And basically our job is to provide affordable homes for local people who can't access housing for rent or for home ownership in the local market. And basically we do that in two ways. We rent homes and we build homes. So currently we own or manage about 10,000 properties. And if you rented a home from RHP, you would have a fabulous place to live. It would be clean, it would be safe, it would be warm, fully decorated and fully carpeted, all for an average rent of about £120 a week, about €110. And that's about 60% of what you'd pay in the private sector. And over the next 8 years, our plan is to build another 2,000 of these homes. And we've got a really, really important job because in the UK there is a massive shortage of affordable housing. There's a huge housing crisis which is driven by a red-hot property market, particularly in the southeast of the country. So if you wanted to move to London, forgetting about Brexit for a second, and buy somewhere to live, as a first-time buyer, you will have to pay on average about £400,000, which clearly is a massive amount of money. Made worse by the fact that the average household income in London at the moment is about £32,000. So house prices to income are basically 13 times higher. So it's going to take you, on average, about 20 years, that's 20 years, to save enough money for a deposit. So at very best, you're going to be in your 40s by the time you've done that. And indeed, for most people, it simply means that home ownership is out of reach. And as a country, we've calculated we need to build at least 250,000 homes every year just to stand still. And when you bear in mind the fact that the maximum we've ever built in 1 year is 140,000, you can see the scale of the challenge that we face. And that's why the work that RHP and other housing associations do is so important. But the interesting thing about RHP is that although we manage and maintain thousands and thousands of buildings and properties, our passion, our burning passion, the reason we get out of bed every day and go into work and feel great about it, is not about managing buildings. Our passion is for people. It's for the people that live in our homes, the people in our community, and the people that work with us. And it's this focus upon people and service which absolutely defines the type of organisation that we are. So it defines how we treat our customers and it defines who works with us. So let me tell you RHP's story. To do that, I need to take you right back to the summer of 2000, because we started life as a completely different type of organisation from what we are today. So this story is about incredible transformational change, which I really hope is going to inspire you. So back in 2000s, we were an old-fashioned public sector, local authority housing department. We used to work in this wonderful building on the right-hand side. And back then we had very little going for us, so the properties that we used to provide for our customers were in really poor condition. So in many cases lacked the most basic amenities like modern heating systems. We had absolutely no focus upon customers whatsoever. So I remember suggesting to a colleague of mine at the time that we should call the people living in our homes customers, and he looked at me as I was off planet Pluto. Employee engagement simply was not on our agenda. So much so we didn't bother measuring employee satisfaction. I think if we had, it would have been around about 30%, because morale and motivation was really low. Our performance was the absolute pits. It was rock bottom on just about every indicator you can imagine. And to cap it all, we had absolutely no money to spend on anything. What we did have was an opportunity to change, because at the time the UK government was promoting the idea that you could transfer the ownership of public sector housing to independent private bodies if you could get the people living in your homes to support the transfer and you could raise the private finance to pay for it. And in a nutshell, that's exactly what we did. I'm not going to talk about how we did it because it's a long technical process and actually it's really dull. But what I can tell you is that it's hard work, and it took us about 2 years in total from start to finish. So let's roll the clock forward to the current day, because RHP today is unrecognisable. We are a totally different animal from what we were back in 2000. So today, RHP is a modern, multi-award-winning social enterprise with a whole raft of national and European awards for customer service and employee engagement. We have the most extraordinary, inspirational culture, which is characterised by sky-high levels of employee satisfaction. So much so, and I think I might have mentioned this already, but at a glittering award ceremony at a very posh hotel in London last year, RHP was ranked as the best place to work in the whole of the UK for a medium-sized business. And I can tell you, when they read out our name at the head of these wonderful commercial companies, just about fell off my chair. It's just an amazing, amazing moment. So I just want to play you a very short video which we've made for a recent recruitment campaign, which will give you a flavour of our culture.
Why do we call RHP home? You show me.
We want to set the world alight, honest, open, and free.
And dare to think differently.
Mediocrity more than we do failure.
We obsess about customer service and we're easy to do business with.
Part of something special.
We're encouraged to be ourselves.
Working together, turning our ideas into reality.
We go after what counts,
Using our curiosity,
being bold
taking chances,
and exploring ways to innovate.
We see ourselves as revolutionaries,
Proud to lead the way
making a difference
to ourselves
to each other.
and to our customers.
take our job seriously.
And have fun along the way.
So if you want to change the world, this is the place to be.
We love what we do and the people that we work with. It's as simple as that. And that's what makes us proud to say,
We are RHP.
Okay, so I now want to talk a bit about how we've achieved this incredible transformation. And because this is a DIY guide to creating an amazing place to work, I've broken this down into 4 particular steps. The first step is about dreaming really big. The second step is about calming down a bit. Step 3 is getting excited again. And step 4 is about creativity and innovation. So dreaming big. So let me take you right back to the beginning. I want you to imagine a small group of us who transferred across from the old local authority, moving into a couple of rundown office buildings in Twickenham town centre. Now at that time, we didn't have very much at all, so we had no senior team at all, so there's no directors. Our infrastructure was pretty ropey, so we had no HR section, no IT systems at all, and no finance function. But what we did have was a golden opportunity to start again, to start afresh. And the thing that we were absolutely clear about is that we just weren't going to waste that. You know, we hadn't gone through all the pain of doing this transfer just to create Mark II of the old public sector housing department. We wanted to create something extraordinary, exciting, different, and amazing. So we started thinking about what we wanted to be brilliant at and what we cared most about. And what we realised was that it wasn't about properties, it was about people. It was about the customers living in our homes and the quality of service that we delivered to them. And it was at that moment that we decided that we define ourselves not as a property landlord, but as a people-focused business. And then we started to get really carried away because we decided that we just didn't want to be okay or average or ordinary or, God forbid, mediocre at customer service. We wanted to be absolutely flipping amazing. You know, we wanted to change the world. Not because anybody said that we had to, or indeed anything awful would have happened to us if we hadn't, but simply because it was the right thing to do, and it really reflects the type of people that we are. So we came up with a really simple but hugely inspiring vision. And that vision was all about trying to become the very best service provider in the whole of the UK. And at the same time, and this is really, really critical, becoming an excellent employer. Because what we recognised was that you just don't get one without the other. So I don't know about you, but I've never worked anywhere where everybody is miserable and down and depressed, but they still deliver amazing services. It just doesn't happen like that. And in aiming for the stars, we decided that we wanted to compete with the very best in the business world. You know, we didn't want to just compare ourselves on performance and our quality of service with other housing providers. That just felt too easy. So we wanted to compare ourselves with the very best in the private sector. So we had this dream that one day people will talk about RHP alongside the great names of service. You know, people like John Lewis and Waitrose and Virgin Atlantic and British Airways. Actually, maybe not British Airways anymore, but you know what I mean. And this big, bold, inspiring vision has absolutely stuck with us right from those early days and has guided us ever since. So my first piece of advice about creating a great place to work is have a really clear purpose and couple it with a big, bold vision which people can get excited about. So step 2, I've called calming down a bit, because having got really excited about becoming an amazing service provider and a brilliant employer and changing the world, we suddenly realised there was a big problem. And that problem was we were absolutely crap at doing the day-to-day things in our business. And what we recognised was that until we sorted out the basics of our business, absolutely nobody was going to take us seriously at all. So we spent the next 5 years really sweating the small stuff, which for a housing association means collecting the rent, turning around empty homes quickly, doing repairs on time, responding to customers. And it's what we describe as doing the basics brilliantly, and that mantra has stayed with us ever since. At the same time, we started thinking about the type of organisation we wanted to be and the type of culture we wanted to create at RHP. And we realised that if we're going to place people right at the heart of our business, we needed to define the types of behaviours and values that we really wanted to promote. So it got us thinking about the types of things that we'd always want to do and the things that we would never do. And then what we describe as our red lines, the things that we walk down the middle of and never cross over. And I'm talking about some really simple, basic things here. So, for example, we decided back then that we'd always call the people living in our homes customers. And I know now that doesn't sound very radical, but it was then. Secondly, we would always treat customers with respect and never talk people down. As colleagues, we'd always back each other, no matter what. So if we made mistakes, we messed up, we got things wrong, we would not blame each other. We would absolutely support each other to fix things and sort things out. And as an organisation, we would always try to do our very best and aim for excellence, even if that meant sometimes falling short and actually failing. And these behaviours and values have absolutely guided who we are today. So they guide the way in which we relate to our customers, and they guide the type of people that work for us. So my second stage in my DIY guide to creating a great place to work is about getting the basics of your business right. Because you have to do that in order to build a solid base from which to do the more exciting things. So my third step is really about getting excited again. So having sorted out the basic things in our business, we started to dream about our big vision again. And what we realised was that if we wanted to become a great service provider and an excellent employer, we needed to find people that shared our passion for these areas. We need to find people who loved customer service, lived and breathed it, who were real nuts about service, about customers. And we knew that we weren't going to find those people from in our own sector. So we started to look outside. And as a result of that, we've now got an incredibly diverse team of people, made up of people from all sorts of backgrounds, countries, and different sectors. So we've got people from the retail sector, from shops, from banks, building societies, airlines, airports, pubs, restaurants, the tech sector. And it's had the most extraordinary impacts upon our culture, because with that diversity has brought a whole range of new ideas, new ways of thinking, new challenges and new expectations. And it's absolutely transformed our business. At the same time, as leaders, we've really thought long and hard about, having recruited some great people, got some talented people in the business, how can we get the very best out of them? And there are two things we've really tried to work on. One is about playing to people's strengths, not their weaknesses. We think too many people and too many businesses obsess about trying to get people to do things they're not very good at. The approach that we take is totally the opposite. So we try to supercharge the superhero qualities of our people. So, for example, we've got people who are just amazing at working with customers, but they're rubbish at writing reports. So they work with customers, they don't write reports. So we get the people who aren't so great at working with customers to write reports. Simple as that. And the third thing that I want to mention in this section is really about something I feel really strongly about, and probably the key thing I'd like to take away today, because it's the one thing that we can all do, no matter what we do, where we work, or what stage of life we're at. And that's really about just getting behind people, just making people feel good about being in work. We want people to walk in the door at RHP and feel 10 foot tall and just feel amazing to be there, not to feel crushed by the experience of coming to work. So we fill our organisation full of praise and encouragement and support. We look for any opportunity possible to say thank you to people in all sorts of ways, small things, big things. And we also love to celebrate. God, we love to celebrate. We love a party at RHP, I tell you. So my third stage is all about building your team, finding the people that share the passion for what you're trying to do, and then really getting behind people and willing them to win all the way. So my final stage in my DIY guide is all about unlocking creativity and innovation, because this is the phase that my organisation is very much in at the moment. And we think that this is so important, because we believe the single most important factor that's going to determine the success of my organisation, and indeed many businesses going forward, is the ability of leaders to unlock the creative potential of their people. And we don't sort of think, innovation is the sort of thing you can sort of dabble in, really. It absolutely has to be led from the front. It's not so you can delegate to people or do like a Tuesday afternoon and then sort of forget about. It's a total immersion process, or it's nothing at all. Because innovation by its very own design is all about taking risk and doing things differently and sticking your neck out and enjoying the fact that sometimes you're going to get things wrong. That's the whole point of innovation. So we're really trying to place innovation right at the heart of our business, and we're doing that in three very simple ways. The first is by really focusing upon problem solving, because we think that innovation, when you boil it down, is really about problem solving. So we're spending a lot of time with our people to try and develop them to be great problem solvers. And then we give them really great meaty problems to get their teeth into. And we've got loads of those in our area. The second thing we're doing is absolutely filling our organisation with discussion and debates. Because out of those conversations, which can be formal or informal, comes your innovation gold dust. And that is ideas. So we get, good ideas, great ideas, rubbish ideas, weird ideas, some ideas that might just change the world. It doesn't really matter. What matters is you're creating creativity. And the third thing we're working on as leaders is to channel those ideas into real things, into real projects, into real programs, and to back them with money, with support, team, and encouragement. And it's having the most extraordinary impact upon our culture. So, we're already a great place to work, but this is supercharging our culture. So, if you really want to create an amazing place to work, focus upon innovation and creativity. It is absolutely the critical thing we all need to do. Okay, I just want to finish just by sharing some very personal thoughts about leadership and about learning to be a CEO along the way. And I've never told anybody these things before outside of my closest family and friends. So I don't mind admitting now that when I first became a CEO, which was 17 years ago, I didn't really know how to behave as a leader. I had no idea. And I sort of took my sort of cues from some pretty weird stereotypes. So back then, I thought CEOs were these like mythical figures that were very strong They're very decisive. They're very directional. They're pretty aloof and sometimes disengaged. Sort of like square chin sort of characters. Well, it was 2000. As a result of that, I can tell you that my leadership style for about 5 years was basically command and control. And that sort of worked for a while. It was fine. We were sorting out, the basics of the business and getting performance better. But then it sort of didn't. And we knew it didn't because we were seeing some really interesting results from our employee engagement surveys. And they're telling us two things. First of all, that things were getting better, so our performance was getting better. People really liked working at RHP. But, and this was the really big but, only about half the people in my team across the organisation had trust and confidence in the senior team. And that basically meant me. And that was a pretty tough message to hear. And it's one of those moments when you have to sort of make a decision, because I knew that if I didn't do something about that, we would just stop as an organisation. We wouldn't progress any further. So I had two choices. One was basically to either leave and do something else, or secondly, to try and change. And that's exactly what I tried to do. So over a long period of time, over a number of years, I did three things. First of all, I read loads of stuff from other people about leadership, about their experiences of leadership. Secondly, I found some great business coaches and mentors and really explored my own natural leadership style with those people. And thirdly, and most importantly, I found some great role models. And they weren't sort of, established captains of industry. These were pretty ordinary people, doing similar types of jobs to me in other organisations. And actually also, interestingly, people in my own team. And gradually, my leadership style changed. And, today, I think that I'm a much more open, much more engaging, much more listening style of leader in the organisation. Somebody who's prepared to share responsibility for leadership across the whole of my team. And the reason I'm telling you this story is because I think it's had a massive impact upon our success as an organisation, a huge impact upon our culture. And I don't think if I hadn't made that change, we'd be an excellent employer today. And as you can see from the slide, it's done wonders for my own personal image as well. My pirate days are obviously back. So I want to just end just by summarising what I think it's worth thinking about if you want to create an amazing place to work. The first thing for me is you need a clear purpose. And you've got to couple that with a really big, bold, exciting vision, which people can get behind. Secondly, sort out your basics and sweat the small stuff, because nobody's going to take you seriously until your core business is running really well. And that gives you the launch pad to do the more exciting things. Thirdly, find those people who share your passion for what you're trying to do. And once you've found them, back them all the way with loads of encouragement and support and praise. Fourthly, place innovation and unlocking creativity right at the heart of your business. It's going to be the most important factor to determine our future success as businesses, and also in terms of creating an amazing place to work. And finally, no matter what level you're working at, think about your own leadership style and about the impact that has upon your organisation's culture. Thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you.